So, I think it at times it felt like he was more vengeful towards the bat god, or the god that his people uh worshipped, rather than the colonizers, specifically Two Face's character,
Yeah.
and the guy who he was rolling with, which I think is an actual historical figure. The guy with the red hood, I believe, is an actual historical figure, but I don't know for a fact.
I don't know if we got his name.
Yeah, I also don't know, because at first I thought it was like a play on like Red Hood, obviously, or something like that. But it was. I mean, when I was doing like the Wikipedia cast research or whatever, the character came up as like an actual historical figure. I just forgot his name. But it did feel like he was more like vengeful at the Bat God for taking his mom, and he blamed the Bat God for taking his dad. So it I feel like if they leaned a little more into that, like maybe don't have like a central villain, or maybe have a central villain, but still lean in heavy on the struggle with religion and struggle with what I was raised, to believe in, um rather than like, oh, I'm gonna play both sides. I'm gonna play nice with the enemy, but at the same time hunt them down and take them down strategically. It it if if it felt like we could have digged in more, and at certain moments it did feel a little like we were, like he got outshined or
Hmm.
outshined in his own film. How do you feel about his characterization and his journey throughout this film?
Well, that's like I agree. It's so surface level, and it's a problem we keep coming back to with these animated ones, and it makes me like feel like it's just because of the runtime, right? Because they're 80 minutes or so.
Hmm.
But then I kind of watch these movies, and they dick around for a lot of it. And there's a lot of stuff where it's like you could replace this with meteor material. You're just not using even the limited time you have properly.
Yeah.
And you're right, they could go deeper into his struggle with his culture, and especially like going into this because I like the origin of having like pulling from a bat god from Aztec culture and actually having that be the reason he becomes Batman.
Hmm.
That's a lot more realistic, I guess, of a reason to become Batman than Bruce just like falling and being scared of bats as a child. And you know,
Exactly.
it makes more sense in this one. Like it feels less cartoonish for some reason, even though it is like has a whole bat god mythical type thing. But yeah, I agree that he was outshined by a lot of people. I guess we could transition that into the villains because we have two big ones here. Obviously, there's Hernan Cortez, who invades, kills Bruce's dad,
Hmm.
and is the central antagonist. But we also get that advisor to the king of Tenochtitlan, which was Yoka, who becomes obviously Joker
Hmm.
later on. You mentioned liking Joker a lot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. His story was definitely the most interesting.
Hmm.
Uh, Here, especially with the whole human sacrifice thing. The whole human sacrifice thing. It sent shivers. It was very uncomfortable. And honestly, part of me wishes that he was the main villain, because like we said, that struggle with culture and that struggle with religion, and how religion can, lead you into places that you wouldn't even have thought you would go, like with Batman becoming an avatar of the Bat God when he,
Hmm.
hated and cursed the Bat God's name. And then you have Joker, or this version of Joker, who literally went into um, the more chaos, like the more tyrannical way, where his religion is leading him to make these human sacrifices, and then he finds out he was deceived, and it leads him into more madness and more chaos. And it would have been such a cool clash of ideologies, instead of adding these conquistadors and all this other stuff, aka Two Face or whatever, and adding Catwoman. Low key, I feel like all we needed was Batman, Poison Ivy, and Joker. That is
Yeah.
all we needed. But I do think his gradual fall into Joker, while there is a little bit more to be desired with this entire movie, like I said, it is a tight 80 minutes with credits. Without credits, it's probably 76, 77. Um, it would have it would have been so much more interesting, and it would have been so much more like enthralling if it was that battle of religion between the two, because they are polar opposites. You know what I mean? So he was definitely, I think, the character that I took the most away from this project.
I agree. I loved his like final descent into to madness at the temple where his family lived. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
And I kind of agree with Two Face just being it, it was Two Face in really name only. I feel
Hmm.
like they did not do much with him,
Yeah.
and like it's good that it like he kicks the plot into motion, I guess, but I even like the final act, we don't really get to see him properly defeated. He kind of just like,
He leaves. He
slinks
runs away and
away.
teams up with the Joker, which that's never
It
going to go
felt
anywhere.
I felt like there was no proper resolution to this movie.
Yeah, and see, but that's the thing, though. I think I guess that kind of moves us into a different point that I actually wanted to touch on.
Yeah.
With this was obviously in production before James Gunn stepped in
Yeah.
and took the reins over. But this is one of those projects that I feel like was just kind of dumped. Like they needed to fill up a slot,
Yeah.
and they were like, okay, are there any projects that we feel are releasable from that old regime? And they saw this and they were like, okay, like there are some parts that we probably don't really like necessarily, but at the same time it's probably culturally important, especially for the
Yeah.
times that we're living in. So
It
let's just drop it. And it felt like this should have gotten more time in the oven, but at the same time it did feel like this was one of those things that needed a little bit more love and care on the director writer side
mhm.
or on James Gunn's side. Which is I think my main issue. So far he's cooked. Like so far the DCU is beautiful. It's a great
Yeah.
product so far. But that is my one thing, is that I wish with the older projects, it's old news now, so it doesn't even matter. But I wish for some of the older projects that are still in a limbo, or that were coming out after he took over the reins, like 2023 and beyond. I wish he
Yeah.
still treated those like they were, actual works of art, like the director's visions and the writer's visions. And, because it takes a really long time to make a movie and a really long time to make a TV show. So I just
Hmm.
feel like they were treated with a little more respect rather than just, oh, let's just drop them and move on into what I'm doing.
Yeah. I think even production wise, I don't know when this started getting animated, but I really felt like they dropped the ball animation wise. This looked very rough. And the Tomorrowverse stuff hasn't looked great anyway. The direct to
Mhm.
video stuff's been kind of I don't I used to be open to that new art style, but it's kind of like worsened for me over time.
Yeah.
This felt like educational video animation. It was
It
not
did.
working for
Oh
me.
my god, bro! I was literally thinking within like the first 5 minutes, I was like, "Why am I watching a PBS Kids
You like
style,
brain pop, man?
yeah, animated movie?" It was the
Yeah, we gotta get
worst.
Moby up in there. He
Exactly.
shows up in history stuff anyway, so it makes sense.
Exactly. No, like the animation was so rough, dude. And I was looking at it and I was like, dude, if this is the last DC animated movie universe project that's gonna be released in this style, like
Hmm.
the direct to video or direct to or VOD or whatever, this is like a whimper, like kind of like the DCU went out with the
Yeah,
whimper. This goes out with the whimper. The Tomorrowverse goes out with the whimper. So it's like all that stuff from the old regime, they could have at least put a little bit more time into it rather than just,
yeah.
let's just drop it and move on to Creature Commando, Superman, Peacemaker, Lanterns, all this other stuff.
I think it's like you said with how they ended the DCEU. I feel like this was sitting on a shelf for at least a year, if not longer,
Yeah.
and they didn't know what to do with it. So it just kind of came out at a time when there's like a, but there's not even a lull because Peacemaker is on right now. So I have no clue what their whole release plan with this was.
Yeah.
It's just like I think we should have a discussion about that if the direct to video movies are done, because that does feel like an old era of things. We kind of wrapped up the Tomorrowverse really fast,
Mhm.
and then some of these like Batman Ninja 2 and this just are kind of getting randomly thrown out there.
Yeah,
It
I mean,
definitely
I
feels
feel
like a weird end to this era of just obscure
yeah,
animated direct to video stuff.
yeah, I feel like it in their minds. I feel like they felt like if they just canceled this or if they just never released this, there would obviously be a bunch of blowback, right? Because this is so culturally important and it is so it does spark a lot of good conversation, like I said, about religion and about culture in the Latino or Latinx community. But at the same time, it is one of those things of like I don't personally think that these should be over. I
Yeah,
don't personally think, I think in the old like era of DC animated movies before the New 52 movies and before the Tomorrowverse, they were just releasing comic stories as DC animated movies like
right.
Batman Under the Red Hood, Justice League The New Frontier, all those Superman Unbound, like they were all amazing. So I
Yeah,
mean, and there are so many comic storylines that either haven't gotten adapted yet in the DCU or in the animated form or probably will never get adapted that would be so cool as an animated as an animated story. Like you don't have to make it a franchise, you don't have to make it a 1 2 3, just make a make one storyline, a 90-minute to a hour 40-minute movie, and go on, like test your animation styles, test this, test that. And I feel like if the next DC animated movie is Dynamic Duo, I feel like we're missing out on an opportunity
um,
because the straight to VOD or straight to direct to video stuff has been such a mainstay since like 2007
yeah,
2006. I do feel like you're losing out on one, new fans, because that's how I got into like heavily into DC was through Justice League: The New Frontier and Green Lantern, the old Green Lantern animated movie. Um, and but you're also missing out on the opportunity for animators and all that other stuff to just make stories that aren't at that level of like having to find a slot to release it in the movie theater and all that other stuff. Because I guess we can also have this conversation when Supergirl or Lanterns comes out, but the whole film slot stuff, like film project stuff,
yeah.
if I was an animated film, or if we are doing animated stories in the DCU and we're trying to release them on the big screen, how many slots do you realistically have? Because they're probably not going to release more than 2 movies a year on average,
Yeah.
Elseworlds and main timeline. So if I'm animating something and I have to wait 3 years in between animated projects, I don't know if I really rock with that.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think we're gonna get that kind of output. We might get some animated shows, but I don't think it's
Yeah.
going to be on that level. And it does make me sad to see if this is the end, because there was a point, I mean, the last few years where we were getting like at least three of these a year, sometimes four, sometimes five a year if we get the part one, part twos. And even when they're mediocre, even when they're Batman Hush, I still appreciate that they're like putting out this stuff. It's what I've talked ad nauseum about. What I love about DC is that they always try new things, even if a lot of the shit doesn't work.
Hmm.
And so when I see something like this, yes, it didn't work fully, but at the same time, I really appreciate that this type of stuff was getting made and was getting developed. I don't want that to stop
For sure.
at all.
For sure.
I would love the future of animated movies if they did more. I would love to still do the quick 80-minute direct to video stuff. I would hope that at some point, and it sucks they never did this while they had the streaming service, but I wish these shifted to HBO Max
Oh yeah.
movies
Like
so
for a
everyone had
fact.
access to it and could talk about it on a larger scale. Because the
Yeah.
biggest thing is that I shelled out $20 for this one because it was the easiest way to watch it, man. And now I own this
Yeah.
movie forever if I ever want to watch it. A lot of people will not do that. I Before we were covering things on the podcast, I would just wait till it dropped to like $6 to rent or even
Mhm.
cheaper. And so I think that's the biggest hurdle that a lot of these don't get talked about or watched just because people don't want to shell out that premium money for an 80-minute direct to video movie. And if you put these on HBO Max, you're getting a lot more eyes on it. And I think you can get a lot of cool stories out of it. Well, you're not spending a ton of money for a DC movie on your platform because these aren't
Exactly.
expensive projects.
Exactly, exactly, and I that's another thing too. You are missing out on a big opportunity. Like you don't have to drop them straight to DVD, which granted you should, because like I
Mm,
said, physical media I think is making a comeback, and it should make a
yeah,
comeback. But at the same time, if you are thinking about revenue, and if you are, um, just thinking about that sort of thing, just drop them on Max. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
and you can still make them, and you can still try out new things. I mean, like kind of like I was saying, like one of my favorite DC movies ever is Batman Under the Red Hood, and when we watch
that
it for
was
the
so good.
pod, we're gonna go fully in nauseum about that movie. But it is so good. But that wouldn't exist without the DC animated movie format. And granted, they've tried on Titans. They've, I don't know if they're going to do that in the DCU. It seems like we're already way past that point, unless they want to tell a flashback story. Um,
Right.
but it's like stories, like simple stories like that, where it's like, just let an animator, let a storyteller go to work. Like they don't need to
Yeah.
have a franchise. Just let them cook with a random storyline and drop it in an animated format. And then also I'm tired of Batman stories. Like I'm so tired of Batman stories, or at least
Yeah, a lot of
animated
Batman.
Batman stories. Live action Batman, I can't get enough of. But for some reason, animated Batman stories, I just like come on, man. Like either try something different with it or move on. But like the last like two animated films have been animated Batman
Yeah.
films. So
But
like
at the very least, those have been pretty wild spins on it,
exactly. So like they
which I
are
appreciate.
different. And then you also got your animated Batman films like Batman Gotham by Gaslight, and you
Yes.
know all that other stuff. But give me a Green Arrow animated movie. Give me a Wonder Woman animated movie, another one rather
Like a
than
good
the
one.
other two that we got. Or another Green Lantern or a flat like there are so many characters, but we keep focusing on the same two. As we should, like mind you, Superman and Batman should get their flowers, but
Yeah.
like give Wonder Woman some more love, give Flash, Lantern, give all of them some more
Green.
love. And I think the animated movie format would be perfect for that. But unfortunately, I think, like you said, that era is over.
Yeah. But I mean, tying back to this one, like concluding thoughts for me, there might be a couple superlatives I'll talk about, but I loved what this represented. I loved the ambition for it. Culturally, I think it's really cool, but it really made me sad to see like not a lot of love into the actual like budget and production, and you can just tell.
Yeah, I fully wholeheartedly agree with that. Like, also one more question: did you watch this in English dub or did you watch it in original?
I
Um,
watched the original language.
in
What did you do?
Spanish. Gotcha. Yeah, I also watched it there. The voice acting was pretty good. Can't lie,
Oh,
voice
it
acting
was
was pretty good. Um, and that's I think the last positive for me. But this movie wasn't even like terrible. It just felt, one, it felt a little unfinished, and two, it felt like they could have put this in, kept it a little while longer, kept working on it, like rewatching and seeing what worked, what didn't work, and all that other stuff, and just you know pushing this out at a later point instead of just dropping this in the middle of Peacemaker. When I'm gonna be honest, no one probably knows this movie came out.
literally. You
So
know, honestly, it echoes Aquaman 2 a lot, where it's like the most random ending project, and
yeah,
they both feel like they came out like years late than they should
yeah,
have,
yeah.
and they both are also just like you could have put more into that.
Exactly. And like what was crazy is that like Marvel is in that same position where like they're still releasing stuff that should have came out in 2022 that
Yeah,
finished in 2022. So I think it's just like media as a whole, man. I think after 2020, 2021, I think most of these big corporations, Star Wars, Marvel, Disney or DC, like it was just like that
they
whole
just put too
mandate
much
of just
in.
like more like let's
Mhm.
drown people in content, and it ended up like causing a bunch of those big franchises to kind of fall flat on their face. Because look at the state of all three of them in today's time. Now, granted, DC is getting it back. Star
Right.
Wars and Marvel, though, struggling heavy. So Yeah,
But you know what? Like, yes, it can kind of dilute the brand, but I'd much rather see this stuff get released than get the Batgirl route of
that's
like,
true.
I don't even think Batgirls is going to be that good if it ever sees the light of day, but like, there's always the what if with that one, right?
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
would hate for this to be in that, where it's just like, oh, we didn't feel like it was good enough to release. So now it's just like everyone's thinking about it.
Yeah, that's true.
But
Yeah, because even like Coyote versus Acme is
which
getting
I'm
a release, but
very
Batgirl
excited.
is the only film that I think I've seen from Warner Brothers that just will not get a release and is fully done, like it's fully
I
finished.
fully believe that will get leaked someday because they're digital copies.
Oh yeah,
Like there's
oh
it's
yeah.
not on some reel somewhere. It's gonna come out.
And honestly, it deserves
Legally,
to
probably
because
not, but
like
you
the actress, she was great and In the Heights, and
know.
this was like probably going to be her breakout role. And of course,
Yeah.
Brendan Fraser, I feel a little bad for him because he was excited about the movie too. And I, it it felt like such a spineless move. Like even granted, I know Peter Safran was like that movie was unreleasable. I
I
get
don't
you're
believe
scared
that.
to like taint the brand, but bro, you're releasing The Flash, you're releasing Fury of the Gods, and you're
Yeah.
releasing Aquaman too.
Like, come
And
on.
out of all four of those films that were in 2023, Aquaman made the most money. That's what's crazy, and no one really knew about Aquaman. So
Yeah.
it's like, just drop Batgirl. Like I don't understand, man.
I it was the weirdest note to start this new transition of DC on because then everyone was just kind of like pissed off about it.
Yeah,
And yeah, I just thought it was probably just going to be a mediocre streaming movie, but you know, if you make something,
yeah,
especially if it's DC, I would love to see it, and it makes me sad. But
yeah. Oh,
hopefully,
oh
hopefully
man,
someday.
when we go through the DCEU, like in total, like when we
Yeah,
watch all
the
that
rest
stuff,
of it.
everything, is that's going to be an interesting conversation. I think there are like 40 projects that were in production for the DCEU that got scrapped. When I was
Yeah,
doing my, there are 42 projects that got scrapped.
crazy. You know. Do you have anything else to say on this one?
Mm.
I will say I was very confused at first by the post credit scene. I don't know if you stuck around for that.
To be honest, I turned it off.
Basically, the ship pulls up and then a plague doctor walks off, and I was confused who it was supposed to be, and it's like the penguin apparently because he has the beak and everything.
Oh, okay.
So that was interesting, I guess. I mean, Catwoman also, like you said, shows up in this one. She's called like Jaguar Woman.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know, man. I there's a version of this that's really really cool,
For
but
sure.
it is what it is. Let's talk some Peacemaker real quick. Season 2, episode 5. Back to the Suture. Red's ritual reveals Eagly's location while Flag confronts Peacemaker. This one was directed by Alethea Jones, who's only really done TV work. She worked on the Grease prequel show, Evil, Mrs. Davis, stuff like that. So
Hmm.
not a film director. Um, I don't know about you. I don't have a lot to say about this one. Just like last week, I feel like it was another big setup for whatever this big event in the next 3 is going to be.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I completely agree. Which I wanted to ask you too. Like, I've been hearing about some characters. I've been hearing a
Yeah.
bunch of theories online about what characters we might see in these next three. What do you think? Who do you think we'll see? If we see anybody, which I'm sure we will.
Um, I would love not to see a crazy amount of cameos. I
Hmm.
don't feel like the show needs that. I
Hmm.
love. I'm getting more on board with the EarthX theory each week. I feel like that's pretty strong, and that seems like the right way to go with it.
Yeah.
Uh, so it'd be cool to maybe see like some twisted versions of heroes or something like that. But I don't think this show needs to dilute itself with a bunch of cameos because it's strong enough on its own.
Yeah. I. F-
Like I thought some of the weakest stuff was. I mean, Jackson might disagree, but I thought some of the weakest stuff was that opening Justice Gang like scene. I didn't
yeah.
feel like that was needed at all.
Yeah, for a fact, for a fact, for a fact. I think the only thing we really needed from the Justice Gang was that retcon with the whole
Yeah.
butterflies and stuff. That was really the only thing we needed. Which actually, speaking of the Justice Gang, I think I low key. I know James Gunn said early on he said it twice that Blue Beetle I guess someone randomly asked would Blue Beetle be in Peacemaker, and James Gunn
Yeah.
did his whole response thing and was like, "You might be in luck" or whatever.
Yeah.
So if Blue Beetle is in the finale, I think it will be because of the Justice Gang turning into the Justice League International.
Hmm.
Especially with Max Lord involved and all that other stuff. And I think he won't be alone, and I think that he will be joined. And this is going to be very outlandish.
Yeah.
Jackson would like throw out so many words at me right now, but
Yeah.
I believe, I don't believe, maybe this is a hope, but I think that he will be joined by Camille Nanjiani as Booster Gold. I think that this is where we will confirm what everybody has been thinking, is that Camille
Yeah.
Nanjiani is Booster Gold. I could be very wrong. I could be very, very, very wrong, and I'm okay with that. This is just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing if it sticks, you know.
Yeah.
But um, I don't know, man. I don't know. And obviously, I think we'll see either Lex Luthor or Superman, one or the other, or both.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I think honestly, the more people talk about it, and the more it makes sense to me that if we're gonna see like a Blue Beetle thing, it would be a Ted Cord situation, and then you use that character in obviously the Blue Beetle animated show and Booster Gold and whatever you're setting up there, and that could even be Kumail playing Ted Cord, and that's why he's talked about in Blue Beetle or Booster Gold discussions because he would be in the show.
Yeah, yeah. Because he was hanging around that whole cast a lot for him to just be James Gunn's friend. You know what I mean? Like
Well,
he was
the
there.
reason I think that is because someone brought up. I was watching a YouTube video. Sorry if I can't credit it properly, but they were talking about that line that Peacemaker talks about where he says whoever made the helmets is a long story because clearly his dad's not smart enough to do it,
Mhm.
and like that makes so much sense to me if they reveal later on that it's like Ted Cord or something that made these helmets because
Yeah,
of how tech based that character is.
like his core tech. Yeah, that would
Uh
make a
huh.
whole lot of
So
sense.
and what character's been missing according to the Blue Beetle movie.
Yeah.
So if Peacemaker's dad or whatever had him locked up making helmets and shit, you know, and Chris was just like okay with that because he's just that's what he grew up with his dad having this guy locked up for however long. That would make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, especially because I feel like the amount of people who have access to, or who is smart enough to build a pocket universe
Yeah,
is down to like four people: Mister Terrific, Lex Luthor, Bruce Wayne, and Ted Cord.
Ted Cord.
Yeah,
Well, even like Blue Beetle, Ted Cord, and Peacemaker are both from Charlton Comics in that era. They got absorbed into DC, so
exactly,
there's connections there that you could really play on.
exactly.
And I just feel like what's a character that would be cool to see, but also could show up in a couple projects where it wouldn't just be like he's showing up to show up. Like he would make a lot of sense, obviously, to be in a Blue Beetle animated show that's following up on that movie and also showing up in Booster Gold because it's Booster Gold's best friend.
Yeah, and I do think that the reason why James Gunn even included the whole Justice Gang stuff, I don't think it was
Yeah,
just to capitalize on them being on like the same set or showing like, oh guys, we're in the DCU now, like we can have all this
yeah,
stuff in here. I genuinely think that James Gunn is the type of person to where like he would put something in there and it does come back around, and I do think that it'll come back around in the very last episode. Like I think they will either try to recruit Peacemaker, or you will see something that pushes us further into that whole Justice League International, Justice League side of the DCU, because I mean I do think we are getting to that point. The more the DCU builds on itself, next year is stacked with stuff like
mhm,
animated and live action,
yeah,
that we're getting into that. We need a collective group of heroes to get this stuff, to get stuff done. um
yeah.
so I do
And
feel
it's
like it'll be a Justice League International setup type thing.
yeah, that'd be cool. Like I'm not opposed to people showing up in things. Like even you guys talk about Lex Luthor or Superman, like that's fine. I just don't think it's necessary, and I don't want people to be disappointed by it if it doesn't happen. Because I really feel like this show is strong enough 5 episodes in, even if these last two were setup ones. Like I'm enjoying it a lot week to week. I'm
Yeah.
having a really good time with it, and I think this season's a lot more mature in both its humor and its emotional beats than the last season. And so I really think it's been a step up, and I don't need to see like David Corn Sweat paraded around for me to enjoy the finale.
Yeah, I will say I think the more the show goes on, which I think 6, 7, and 8 will change this for me because those are the big
Yeah.
ones, right? Especially 6 and 8. But it
Yeah.
does feel like the writing in season one was a little tighter, and
You
I
think?
yeah, I think on a cinematography level too, it felt a little more interesting to look at
Okay.
in season one. Mainly like the action stuff, like Harcourt, which also want to have a conversation about her because Harcourt is like my MVP this season. She is so good.
Yeah.
She's honestly my favorite character this season, which is such a turnaround from season one. But it it, it the more this season goes on. At first, I was leaning towards this, like the first two episodes, first three episodes. These
Yeah.
last two, I think I'm leaning more towards season one on the quality level.
I've
But
enjoyed these last two. I think they should have been one episode though.
I agree.
Um, Even like some of the stuff. I don't know how you felt about the Michael Rooker Red Saint Wild. Like I thought it was kind of a throwaway
Yeah,
plot thing. Like it didn't. I know some people really liked it, but I just thought it was kind of like a little tonally weird for Peacemaker to do.
it, it felt like it could have been like a short side thing, like Eagerly goes
Yeah,
hunting and then comes across this hunter and all that other stuff. Like I don't think it needed to be included. Like I feel like that time spent could have been given to someone like Adebayo or Vigilante or Harcourt, more Harcourt. Honestly, like even though she's stealing what she has, I think we should we need to delve in on everybody. Like everybody has kind of gotten a short end of the stick. It feels like because we're juggling between two universes and we're juggling between what's going on with Rick Flag and Bordeaux and all these and
yeah.
Argus, that we're like losing the core team. Like they're barely together until episode
This
6.
episode, yeah. Well, even we haven't seen Adrian in his suit the whole season,
Yeah, we
and we're
haven't. Like
we're five episodes in.
he's literally just been there to like sit in the background and make like a joke, like add some levity to scenes, which give him something to do. Like I get it. He is the funny comedic character, but at least in season one, he was comedic with a purpose. You
Yeah.
know?
So I mean, hopefully, it makes me seem like I'm not. I am enjoying it a lot. Like even these last two, I had a really good time just sitting
Yeah,
back and watching them.
yeah, for sure.
I just it frustrates me when shows have episodes that when you're doing a weekly release, I want episodes to have like weight to them, or at least like something interesting for its episode of the week. And when it's just like a middle chunk, it feels like a movie chunk or something.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not gonna go
completely
back and
agree.
rewatch these episodes like I will other ones.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm with you. Like, I love this season. I'm not like saying that I don't like it. I think some parts could be stronger, obviously, but so far, like I said, it's good. Like, I'm loving the DCU so far, and I'm loving the world that James Gunn is building. I'm very, very, very interested to see. I don't know if it'll be Lanterns or Supergirl. It'll probably be Lanterns, the first project that James Gunn hasn't written or directed, to see what that type of tone is like within this universe. Because so far the three projects feel very James Gunn coded, like super James Gunn. So to see that first project that he
That's
has
not
nothing to
him.
do, yeah, that he has nothing to do with, it'll be interesting too. But
I think I
I'm
agree. I
loving
think
it.
next year will be really exciting because Lantern, Supergirl, Clayface will all be their own directors and their own. None of those feel like they're going to be the same at all.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
next year will be a really cool year. But at the same time, I know some people don't like it. I still love James Gunn's like style of stuff. I
Hmm.
eat it up. So I'm down for this corner being a thing too. And I get it. I mean, it's smart to start this way because this is what people are familiar with and enjoy from a casual fan point.
Right, right.
So, I have a couple little news things. The Obviously the 4K for Superman came out, and there was a director's commentary on it. And James Gunn was talking about the engineer and said that you'll find out where her story goes in the next movie. So that seemingly confirms that she'll also be in Man of Tomorrow in some capacity, which isn't like the hugest thing, but it is interesting. Each new character, because there's so many like non-Superman characters, it's interesting which ones they're going to bring back for this sequel.
I think they're all being brought back, aren't they? Except for Ultraman.
As far as I know, I think the
Yeah.
Justice Gang will probably be in some capacity, but we'll see what it shakes out to. I don't think it's needed though. I think the only ones that are needed are David, Rachel, and Nicholas, and obviously
Yeah.
Jimmy, because we need more Jimmy Olsen. But like, I don't think you need to bring Hawk Girl and Guy Gardner back and stuff. I don't think that's like a make or break. I think this movie could hold its own without
Yeah,
them.
yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean, I do want to see more like Superman centric stuff. Like, I want to see that duality of Clark and Superman
Mm,
more, and I do want to see more of Clark and Lois's relationship and all that other stuff. So I'm excited, man.
yeah. We got a release window. Did you watch the Merry Little Batman Christmas movie from like
I
a
did
couple
not.
years ago?
I did not.
It had it was it was really sweet. It was a night like I love we don't get a lot of Christmas superhero stuff in general. We got the Guardians holiday special from Marvel and like really not much else besides like episodes of shows. And so I really appreciated it from that level and it was a cute kids movie. They're putting out a sequel show called Bat Fam that's basically just gonna continue this like little pocket thing. I think it's going to be very child friendly, like Bat Wheels or Teen Titans Go or something. But
Hmm.
anyway, it's been like it was announced a couple years ago, so I was curious when it was coming out. It's coming out in November, so it might be something worth talking about when it comes out because the movie was fun, but I expect it to be pretty like low level, family friendly.
Okay,
But I just wanted to bring it up.
absolutely, yeah. I'm
Yeah, yeah,
excited. I mean, I love Christmas themed stuff. It always puts you in like a warm
right.
mood.
We'll watch that movie at some point because I think it's fun enough to watch. I don't know about the show, we'll see how
Mhm.
that turns out, but I think it'd be a fun holiday watch
Yeah.
maybe in December. And then the last thing I got here is that obviously James Gunn posted that Man of Tomorrow page of the script, and on the cover is a picture of a man's brain, like the anatomical version of it.
Mhm.
And obviously the big link there is that it's Brainiac, right?
That's the big link, but there could also be another link that people
Right.
aren't
So
thinking about.
I think I saw that go into that other what it could be otherwise.
So obviously, My Adventures with Superman had this character in there, the Brain and Monsieur Mallah. Also Superman characters as well, and they are right up James Gunn's alley.
Yes,
Granted,
they
it
are.
could be Brainiac, but it could also be them. So I think they both, knowing James Gunn, they both have an equal possibility.
I will be very frustrated. As much as I'd love to see a James Gunn Brain and Mala, I think that'd be so cool.
Hmm.
I need to see Brainiac, man.
Yeah.
It's like it's bugging me, especially after we went through all these canceled Superman sequels as we were going through those movies.
Hmm.
Especially with Gus Gorman and shit. Like
Yeah.
I've been I've been metaphorically edged with the possibility of Brainiac in these movies like too many times, and
Yeah.
it's over, man. This is
Yeah.
the perfect time to introduce him. It's a good threat for Lex Luthor. You cannot fumble that.
Oh yeah.
It's
No.
obvious, but it's what you do. It's like it's just what you do.
Exactly, exactly. It is like for a fact what you do, and I think since this probably would this since this is a Superman Lex combo story,
Yeah,
and since it's probably going to focus more on the Lex side of things, I think that
yeah.
would be so interesting to see him go up against Brainiac. But at the same time, if it is Brain and Mala, it had. I mean, I don't know. It wouldn't hit as different because like that would be more of a threat for Lex Luthor, but not a threat for Superman. And I
Yeah.
think with the two of them teaming up for something, it would have to be way more than Brain and Mala. So even though Brainiac is the most obvious one, and it will probably be Brainiac, it should, rightfully so. It's time. It's time for Brainiac to appear on the screen in its
And I'll
entirety.
go one step further. I think if you do Brainiac, you have to explore the Kryptonian side of it
Yeah,
because that's like how he's tied to Superman.
yeah.
I think what you do, I still don't love that James Gunn twist that the message was real and that his parents are like psychos. That's I just refuse to believe that that's going to something that stick.
Yeah.
So the way you do that without like just completely retconning, be like, oh, Lex did it, is you have Brainiac fabricate that in some way because he is also a tech based villain. You
Mhm.
could make up an easy agenda why he would want that and want Superman to like, maybe weaken this planet and so he could bottle it up. I think you have to go back on that if
Yeah,
you're
'cause,
going to
like,
do Brainiac and tie into Kryptonian stuff. I don't think you can stick with that twist because it's awful.
yeah, I mean, I don't even think you need to go back on it, but I do think you need an explanation. Like, I think you need to see, or like we need to see exactly what was going on Krypton to where you feel like this twist is validated, you know?
Yeah,
So I think that that should be something that is explored both in
you can't ignore
Supergirl
it.
and in Man of Tomorrow because it is such a big because even like granted if it was real they feel like two completely different messages like it feels like they are going in one direction in the first half of the message and then after the little glitch they go in a completely different direction so
Mm-hmm.
it feels like something is either missing or it feels like something
Yeah,
has been fabricated but according to James Gunn and Lex Luthor is real so I think you
yeah.
totally need to see what this culture was like on Krypton you know,
And
what
I think we're gonna
was
see that a little bit with Supergirl because her parents are cast in it, and I highly doubt that they're also like psychotic. Like you need to
yeah,
control and conquer things. I feel like it's going. There's more to it.
yeah,
And
yeah,
maybe he's saying that it's not fabricated right now because that's like the because Lex doesn't know that.
yeah.
Like I think he's trying to say that Lex didn't make it up. I think Brainiac did is what he's gonna do.
It just feels so it feels so convenient. Like it feels so convenient.
Right?
And
Too convenient.
even like granted, I know Mr. Terrific is the smartest man on earth, but
Yeah.
how can he and a bunch of really other smart scientists understand Kryptonian language, especially because they
Right.
didn't have the Superman robots. They were all
Right.
dead, so they just took the recording. Unless the engineer can understand can understand otherworldly language, that would be
Yeah.
an explanation. But at the same time, you got like that doesn't even make sense. How a bunch of Earth scientists with no,
Can
you
confirm
know,
it.
yeah, can confirm that this is a real message you know
Yeah.
so I do
So
think that we need some sort of explanation if he's not going to go back on it we need an explanation or we need to at least see what the culture on Krypton was like
right. But I'm fully in the camp that he needs to go back on it. I think
hmm
it just wasn't a good play.
yeah
I don't think there is a good explanation for it. I get that it ties into the theme of like him appreciating his Earth parents, but
yeah
mm-mm, no, no, no. But anyway, I don't have anything else. This was a great talk.
sure
Always love this. It was cool to watch a new movie. Next week, I believe we are doing Teen Titans Go to the movies, and I do not believe you'll be here, but I'm excited for our listeners to hear that one. So, thank you guys, and we'll see you next time.
see
Bye.
ya